thing. Remember, Brother Sam's argument had two prongs. He only really got to
the first part, exactly.
the first part, which was that the Jesus followers would be victorious until the day of resurrection. The second part was that the Qur'an confirms the scriptures of Jesus. I was able to share a few verses. There are many, many more verses in the Qur'an and in the hadith, well attested to, authentic hadith from Bukhari, from Muslim, that make it very clear that in the time of Muhammad, Muhammad gave the authority to the Bible, to the Torah, and said, precisely, you need to follow what you have now between your hands. And it's very clear. Well, without further ado, let's go to our wonderful callers. Dear callers, we thank you for calling in tonight. We look forward to hearing from you. So let me welcome the first caller on the air right now to Jesus or Muhammad. You're on the air. Yes, hello, you're on the air with Jesus or Muhammad. Hello, Abdi.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening,
yes,
welcome.
How are you? How are you, Sam? How are you, David?
By the grace of God, good. Praise Jesus.
Good.
I have this something. I want Sam to correct me if I am wrong.
Hey.
Muhammad said in one of his hadiths that Jew and the Christian is sons of apes and pigs.
I know he says that about the Jews, but go ahead.
Okay. If the Jews is son of apes and pigs, but he forgot something, that the Jews and the Muslims are just a step brothers.
Oh yeah, relatives, cousins, yeah. They're cousins, yes.
Meaning the Muslim also is sons of pigs and apes.
Yeah, did you hear, Brother Abdi, did you hear Ahmadinejad? He is a Jew. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, check out on the internet. You know, there was a picture of him after he won the election or something. He held up his passport. Somebody took with the photography, zoomed in. His birth name was a name of Iranian Jewish tribe. And so they say that there's good evidence that Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, actually comes from Jewish lineage.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, something to check out.
Yeah, but those are the good Jews, those who become Muslim.
I think there's a lot of Muslims. I think there's a lot of Muslims that have some Jewish blood. I don't know. Yeah. Muhammad could have been a Jew. I don't know.
Okay, but in that meaning that the Muslim is sons of apes and pigs.
Yeah.
And, okay, and in that case, Muhammad just canceled the presence of God because he just confirming the Darwin theory, which is a revolution.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, hey, the Jews and the Arabs are very close in their blood, in their language, and they hate one another. But then again, so are brothers and sisters, right?
Yes, they are step brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're related from Ishmael and Isaac.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother, for calling.
Yeah.
God bless you.
God bless.
God bless you. Brother Sam, real quickly, the other night on a program was Jesus is God.
Yeah.
Had a guy call in, one of these Muslims who calls in with a diversion, foolish thing. You know, he can't give me a good argument. Anyways, you know, not that ever happens on Jesus or Muhammad. This is a special breed of Muslims call on this show. Anyhow, talking about, oh, Jesus, you know, he's bad, he's this and everything. And I mentioned, I said, you know, I wouldn't be, he says, and of course, Muhammad was Ishmaelite. I said, you know, it's very interesting. The Bible has two genealogies of Jesus, one in Matthew 1, one in Luke 3.
That's right.
Muslims always talk about Muhammad being the descendant of Ishmael, but there's no absolute proof. There's there's no genealogy. And, you know, you go into a mosque in America, and have you guys ever seen the genealogical tree of the prophets in the mosque?
Oh, I know.
Oh, it's the most funny thing. I go in there every time, and I had to contain myself, because here's this tree in the mosque, in the masjid, on the wall, you know, in the back. And here's this big tree, and it goes up from Adam, and then there's all these prophets that we have in the Bible, and then they throw in a couple few that we hadn't heard of. I guess that's some of those 124,000. You got to have some. And then you get up to the big main branch, and there's Abraham. And on this side, you got Ishmael. On this side, you got Isaac. Well, on this side with Isaac, you got this beautiful branch that's got all these limbs and all of these leaves, and then you've got Jacob, and you've got the 12 tribes, and you've got all of the Jewish line, and at the end of the branch, you got Jesus.
That's right.
But then on this side, over here where it goes to Ishmael, you know what you got? You got this one long, bare branch, way up high. There's nothing on it. There's not one between, I think they got one guy nobody ever heard of. They just, you know, whatever, somebody's name, we never heard of him. And then at the end, it says Muhammad. So from Isaac, Ishaq, from Ishmael, to Muhammad, what do we got? We got 2,600 years? And the best they can do is produce one name that nobody ever heard of.
Yeah. Well, I've written an article. Again, I invite the readers to go to www.answering-islam.org, www.answering-islam.org. Go to individual authors. Look for Sam Shamoun. We're changing the format of the website, so you're going to get my new page. But there's a link to my old page. When you click on that link, you're going to see I have an article saying Ishmael is not the father of Muhammad, part 1 and part 2. In part 2, I actually provide references from Muslim sources who say that beyond Adnan, an ancestor of Muhammad, no one is certain beyond that point. They say he's a son of Ishmael, but they can't prove it, and it's mere conjecture. And I have quotations from Muslim sources. For example, this comes from the life of the Prophet Muhammad, Al-Sirah al-Nabawiyya by Ibn Kathir, Volume 1. Let me just read what it says here about those who try to trace Muhammad's lineage to Ishmael with absolute certainty. Here, let me read it. Since you brought it up.
Yeah, go ahead real quick.
Abu al-Aswad stated that he had heard Abu Bakr, Sulaiman bin Abu Khaytham, one of the very most knowledgeable men of the poetry and the genealogy of Quraysh, say, "We never knew anyone with information going beyond Ma'ad bin Adnan, whether relating poetry or other knowledge." In other words, we only can get as far as Adnan. Beyond that, it's mere conjecture. Let me read another. This is from Ibn Kathir.
Yeah.
Abu Umar said that there was a group of the predecessors, including Abdullah bin Masud, Amr bin Maymun al-Azdi, and Muhammad bin Kab al-Quraydi, who, when they recited the verse from the Qur'an, and those after them who know not but God knows, would comment, the genealogists lied. Meaning, anyone who tries to trace Muhammad's ancestry beyond Adnan, they're lying. It's mere conjecture. They don't have absolute certainty. So that your own Muslim sources do not have absolute proof and certainty that Muhammad can trace his lineage all the way to Ishmael, because they can only get as far as Adnan, and beyond that, it's mere conjecture. So that's according to the Muslim sources. Now, if I were to talk about the Bible, then you got another problem. Because according to the Islamic sources, Ishmael settled in Mecca, and that's where he married a woman from the tribe of Jurhim, and he became the ancestor of Muhammad. However, according to the Bible, Ishmael settled in the wilderness of Paran, which is by Egypt and Shur, around Israel. That's Genesis 21:21. And he married an Egyptian woman, not a woman from the tribe of Jurhim. So if the Bible is right, and the Quran and the New Testament says Jesus confirmed the Old Testament, and Muhammad confirmed the Old Testament, so it has to be right. If it's right, Ishmael never settled in Mecca. Therefore, the hadiths that say he did are wrong. Because the Quran says that Jesus confirmed the Old Testament in his possession, and so did Muhammad. Well, the Old Testament that they confirmed contains this story of Ishmael settling in the wilderness of Paran, not in Mecca. That means the hadiths are wrong, and as far as the Bible is concerned, you have no definite proof that Ishmael is an ancestor of Muhammad.
Thank you, Brother Sam. I'm sorry for that diversion, but I think it's very important because, you know, Muslims are always claiming this is the blessing really went to Ishmael and not to Isaac, and we don't even know that Muhammad came from Ishmael. Muhammad could have come from Jewish roots, or he could have come from some other. We don't have no clue. Well, we got a full rack of calls, they tell us. Let's go to them right now. Welcome, you're on the air with Jesus or Muhammad. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to our program.
Hi. God bless you all.
How you doing, friend? God bless you.
Good. I have a couple things I wanted to say, if you allow me.
Yep.
First of all, they say that the Bible is corrupted, but there is no proof. And besides, if we go, the Bible is written 30 years to 200 years. That's our Bible, and they found all kind of evidence in Russia and everywhere. That's our